Okay, I think we can begin. Let's start by just centering ourselves. Let's put our phones on silent mode. Let's turn off notifications. Putting mine on do not disturb. Let me make sure the recording has started. Yeah. So, as always, we will just bring ourselves into the present moment using the breath as an anchor. I will guide you through this, right? Just follow what I'm sharing. And then we will just do a small kind of a breathing meditation, a small prayer to mark this beginning. And then we'll start. Yeah. Find your feet on the floor. Sense if your back is straight. Eyes closed if you're comfortable. Otherwise, just lower your gaze and bring your attention to your breathing. Let go of whatever has happened in the day. Let go of whatever needs to happen. And just make yourselves fully available for this session. And we are using the breath as an anchor. Notice how you are breathing today. How fast or slow you are breathing. How deep or shallow is your breath. And now let's synchronize our breathing. I'll tell you what I'm doing. See if you can follow along. I'm breathing in and breathing out. Breathing in with my nose. Letting go with my mouth. One more time, breathing in and releasing. Come back to normal breathing. And now let's take a moment to connect with the intention for joining these sessions. What is it that made you sign up for this program? What is it that made you put aside 2 hours every Sunday for the next year? Connect with that intention. And with that intention in mind, let's say a small prayer, silently in our own words, calling upon the highest, the most divine, the most spiritual to come and be with us, to guide us, to protect us, and to show us the way. Slowly come back to your breathing. Become aware of where you're seated. And when you're ready, you can open your eyes. Okay, welcome everyone. Very happy to see all of you again. Several of you are continuing this journey with me, and a big welcome to everybody who have joined this program now. We are from different parts of India, and we also have a few from other countries. So the time is very critical for all of us. Some of us are sacrificing our sleep in order to be here. So it's always great that we can start on time and end on time. Yeah. I always start a few minutes early, so always feel free to join in 10-15 minutes, settle in, right? Make sure the webcam, mic, all of that is working. So then we can always begin on time. Yeah. So we are meeting on Teams, and this is sometimes it's a new platform for several of us, but it's very similar to every other platform. It's just that my whole setup is on Microsoft, right? Now, depending on what device you have joined, you'll see a list of icons on the top, right? And a few icons that will be important for us in this journey. The first is the chat icon, right? Now, if you click on chat, you will get a pane on the left, on the right, if you've joined from a desktop, where you can type in your messages. Now, if the chat icon is not available for you, that means you have joined in from an ID that I don't have, right? You need to share your email ID with me, the same email ID that you are using to sign into Teams, and then you will have the chat facility, right? If you notice the names, there are three kinds of words in brackets, right? One is guest, yeah? Guest is someone who has been invited to the channel, right? And they have all facilities available, right? Chat and raising hands, everything. Yeah. If you see unverified, that means you have not verified your email that Microsoft has sent, right? So just check your email and you should find something in your spam folder or in one of the other folders, and you need to verify your email ID, and then that will change to guest, right? External is when you have used a different email ID than what you have given me, right? So depending on how you have signed in, you'll have different options on the top. Right? So what I'm sharing with you is what you ideally should have, because these sessions will be interactive. Yeah. So first is the chat facility, right? Many times I'll be sharing questions or prompts, and I'll be inviting you to reply by chat. Right? The other icon is to raise your hand. Yeah? So you'll see the palm symbol. So anytime you have a question, anytime you want to share something, feel free to raise your hand, and then we'll go through whoever have questions in order. Right? Just to make sure that we're all on the same page, can everyone raise your hands? Fantastic. So everybody is able to raise hands. So Dr. Sonal, yes, perfect. Divya, perfect. Jairaj, yes, you have signed in from two devices. Okay, this is super. So everybody have the raising hand facility. Okay, so now if you click on that icon again, you will lower your hand. Right, so that is raising hands. Can everyone lower your hands? Yeah. Ashwin and Katyayani? Yeah. Ashwin, you still have your hand raised. Perfect. All right. Now, everybody who does not have chat, anyone who does not have chat facility, can you raise your hands? If you do not see the chat icon on the top, you can raise your hands. Yeah. Ashwin, do you have chat facility?
Yes, sir, it's there.
You have it? Okay, great. Okay, so Mamta, Samya, Katyayani, and Anita, see if this appears depending. Let's just troubleshoot this after class, right? You can tell me how you have signed in, which email ID, which device, whether it's on the browser or you have downloaded the app, and we will troubleshoot how to get you the chat facility. Yeah? Now, Anmol posted a message in the chat. Is everybody able to see that message? Whoever cannot see the message, can you raise your hands? So if you want to see this message, you need to click on the chat window. The chat panel will open up and you'll be able to see Anmol's message. So Mamta and Katyani are not able to see, but Ashwin, you said you have chat facility, but you're not able to see the chat message?
Yes, sir.
That's
It's showing
strange.
that isn't available, it's showing.
Exactly, exactly. Chat is not available for you because
Yeah.
your email has not been verified. Right? So you see, everyone who have unverified next to their names may not have chat facility available. So you need to make sure you verify your email with Microsoft. Yeah, we'll take
Oh,
this offline. Okay, the other thing over here is record and transcribe. So that's available only for me. So I will make sure that all these sessions are recorded. So in case you miss any session, you'll be able to catch up on the recording. Right? Now, I shared two links with you all over WhatsApp. One is the joining link for this session, right? And the other link will take you to the recordings folder. Okay? Try that link out. I'll be posting the recording today after class onto that folder. You should be able to access these recordings. Yeah. I have a small deck to share with you what I have planned for the year. Let's start with this, and then I'll open up the group for questions and interaction. Yeah? Okay, Samia, you have your hand raised. Do you have a question, or is it from the previous one? Okay,
Sorry, sir. Actually, I forgot to
no problem.
put my.
Okay, Vedic astrology for beginners. Right. Um, this is a year-long program. We are meeting online on Sundays, 2 hours in the morning India time for a year. So we are starting today and it goes on till August next year. This year is going to be about astrology, yes. But in order to learn astrology in this year, there are 3 or 4 pillars that become very important for us. One is mythology, right? There will be a lot of mythology that we do. Most of the stories you already know about, but we'll be going into the deeper meaning behind these stories. And I'll be linking these stories from Indian mythology with the planets and the signs of Vedic astrology. Yeah. These are very popular stories, but they all have layers and layers of meaning. Now, the other pillar that is essential for me is Indian philosophy. Right? These cannot be separated. The stories that we read in Amar Chitra Katha, the stories that we see in Doordarshan, that we saw in Doordarshan, cannot be separated from Indian philosophy. Learning Indian philosophy helps us understand the stories from the Puranas, but it also helps us understand how to read a birth chart. The other big pillar for me this year is mathematics. Now, I know that math is not a very favorite subject for many of us. And I have observed this over the past 20, 25 years, that any subject that we have a resistance to, it is somehow linked with the teachers, who first taught us that subject 3, 4 decades ago. Right? I can be proved wrong, but in my own experience, so for instance, a subject that's very difficult for me is biology. And yeah, it's because of how I was taught. I have no qualms in saying that. But over here in astrology, at this level, mathematics is indispensable. Right? I'm going to simplify it to the extent possible. I'm going to give you an intuitive understanding to mathematics, and this will help you better understand what the software is trying to say. Yeah. Now, equally important to mathematics is intuition. And I'll be showing you several different methods to develop and harness your intuition. And that is also indispensable when we read a birth chart. Yeah? Think of two extremes, right, on the number scale, right? One extreme is pure math, right? Pure science and math. The other extreme is pure intuition. And we use both of this when we use a birth chart. If you take, say, weather forecasting, it is pure math, right? Pure science and math that goes into forecasting the weather. If you take the tarot, for instance, the tarot cards, it's pure intuition. Astrology sits in the middle. It uses both math, science, calculations, as well as intuition. Right? And we need to harness both, right, in order to be better interpreters. With all this at play, the next pillar that becomes crucial for us are the retreats. Right? I'll say a few more words about the retreats as we go along, but let's see what topics we are covering with all this in mind. The first is what I call as the foundations, the basics of dualities, modalities, elements, planets, and houses. This is actually what several of us have completed in the last year. We spent a whole year in looking at the foundations. But some of these concepts are so critical that I'll be repeating it this year, right? So that we are on the same page, and also for the benefit of those who have just joined us. You don't need to know anything to start this year, but knowing this will, of course, help. I'll give you some tips on how you can brush up on these topics if you wish to do so. Yeah. These are the foundations. And most programs in the market don't address this, right? Dualities, modalities are very rarely addressed. Most programs begin here, right? The zodiac signs. And this will be one of the biggest topics this year, the 12 signs of the zodiac, the mythology, the deities associated with them, the archetypes, the symbolism, and how to use the zodiac when you read a birth chart. Now, I keep saying when you read a birth chart, but it's actually even otherwise. Everything that I teach you, that I show you in this program, you can apply to day-to-day life without having the birth chart in place. When you're driving in traffic, you can apply what I share with you. When you are in a job interview, you can apply what I share with you. When you're speaking with your children, you can apply what I share with you. You don't need the birth chart to put all this in place, right? And if at any time you feel that you do not know how to apply, you must pause and ask me that question. How can we use this in day-to-day life? Yeah. We'll also be looking at Shadbala and Bhavabala. Very Sanskrit terms, but basically what it means is strength of planets and strength of houses. Yeah? Bala means strength. Shad, S-H-A-D, means sixfold, right? And Bhava means house. So the strength of houses and planets. Yeah? And this is what makes every chart different. Aries is there in every chart, but what Aries does or what Aries means differs from chart to chart because of Shadbala and Bhavabala. The other big topic this year is what we call as Graha Avastas, means state that a planet is in, right? The state of planets. Again, the planets are there in every chart, right? Jupiter, Saturn, Mercury. But what the planet does differs from chart to chart because of avastas, because of the state that that planet is in. Another topic that we'll cover is what is known as dashas. Dasha means planetary period. Most astrologers use one planetary period called Vimshottari Dasha. I'll be teaching you 4 different kind of planetary periods. What these planetary periods are used for is timing of events. Right? Events such as marriage, when you will relocate, when you will find a job. Whenever a client asks a question, when will something happen? It is dashas that we look at. Right? This becomes key, right, to timing of events. But the clue, the trick is to know which dasha to use when. Right? If you use the wrong dasha for the wrong question, then the timing won't work. Right? But we'll go into all these intricacies as we go along. Now, intuition also is going to be a big part of this program, and I'll be using the Vedic framework to show you how you can develop intuition. Yeah? And of course, we have the retreats on the Navagrahas. Now, the retreats are all held in South India. They're all around Kumbakonam, and they are on the planets of Vedic astrology. I want to share a few more words on the retreats, but before I change slides, any questions over here? Yeah, let's go with Katyayani and then Smita.
I'm just wondering if we also, when you're talking about the states of planets and houses, do we also learn how to improve the strength of planets and houses through remedies, or is that not
Yeah,
possible?
absolutely. No, absolutely. Remedies is part of the whole. Every time we speak about a house or a planet, remedies automatically comes into place. right? But here's, thanks for asking this question, Katyayani. Remedies, there are various kinds of remedies, right? Starting from religious, ritualistic remedies to lifestyle-based practices, right? And I'll be sharing as many as I can. The trick to finding the right remedy is to understand the client, is to understand where the client is coming from, what is their context, what is their life situation, and to find a remedy that suits them, rather than to impose a remedy onto them. I'll give you an example, right? So if a remedy is to visit the Kali temple, I can't ask a client in Norway to visit a Kali temple, right? Because there are no Kali temples in Norway. Right? So that is what I mean by understanding where the client is coming from and fine-tuning, the remedy to suit them. And understanding the dualities, modalities, planets itself will give you hints on what the remedies should be. You'll understand, you'll get it more as we go into this, right? But remedies is totally part of what we'll cover. Right? Smita?
Thank you. So, since I've joined very recently, and we discussed, I just want to understand how can I cover the things which were discussed in foundations, like basic of dualities, modalities, etc. That's something my question, because I'm starting with absolute scratch. I've never even read anything on any of these subjects. Yeah.
Yeah. So I will be covering all of that this year again, right? But I will also give you a few resources. It's there a few slides later on how you can go into all of this in more detail. I will share that with you.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, let me share a few words on the retreats. These are the retreats on the Navagrahas. Nava means 9. Graha means planet, a loose translation. So Navagraha are the 9 planets of Vedic astrology. So we have the Sun, Moon, Mars, Mercury, Jupiter, Venus, and Saturn, along with the nodes of the moon called the North Node and the South Node. We will go into each of this in more detail. But when I do it in class, it's more an academic, theoretical understanding of the Navagraha, of the Graha. What we do in the retreats is many activities and exercises to help you connect with that planet so that you get to feel that planet, that entity, that body in you, in your life, right? And then we visit the temple associated with that planet. Each of these has a temple associated with it, and they're all ancient temples, all in South India around Kumbakonam. They are like 1,500, 2,000 years old. Right? Each temple, there's an intention that was that built that temple, right? So we have to connect with that intention when we visit the temple. Then it becomes that much more powerful. There are 9 planets. We'll be doing this over 4 retreats. Right? Each retreat, we will cover 2 planets. Each retreat will be Thursday till Sunday. Right? Thursday 4 p.m. till Sunday 12 p.m. Sunday after breakfast or so, we can check out. Now, this will cost 8 to 15,000 rupees per person per retreat. Right? That is for the 4 days. And this includes accommodation, food, and local transport. Nothing extra for my facilitation, but these are at actuals, whatever accommodation, food, and transport will cost. Now, for these retreats, I want to do it slightly differently this time. I'm asking for 9 volunteers. You can take your time. 9 volunteers or facilitators to help me in co-facilitating the retreats. Right? So you can choose a planet, and I'll show you how we can co-create this retreat together. Now, the dates for this, for the first one, I have fixed it for 11th to 15th December. Right? Shalu was asking me if we can shift this by a week. I have to check if that is still possible with accommodation. But if you all can just take a look at your calendars and let me know if these dates are suitable for you. For the other 4-5 retreats, I have not fixed the dates. I just know that Mercury and Jupiter will be in February. Saturn and the nodes will be in April. Moon and Venus will be in July. And then we will have one end of year retreat in August to bring the whole year to a close. I just want to pause there if you have any questions, any thoughts. Okay, Srivatsan.
Now, is the image from a specific temple?
This is from Brihadaranyakeshwar temple in Tanjavur.
Thank you.
Kareem?
Yeah, my questions is sort of personal because I won't be able to go to the retreats, as you know, and I wanted to know if it's possible in some way to connect with this somehow.
Yeah.
Basically.
Yeah. Thanks for asking, Kareem. So I know you have been asking this since a while, and
yes.
We are exploring doing the retreats in Europe. I have signed up with a person there to do the logistics, and it's a work in progress. Right? In all probability, we'll be announcing a few retreats in 2026. I can't shift the temples to Europe, but we can do the activities, we can do the sessions there. Yeah, if you are interested in helping us with the logistics or in any form or manner, we'll be happy to collaborate.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah. Monisha?
Vikram, I read somewhere that retreats are about elements, fire, water. Isn't it that?
Right, right. That's in the foundation, yeah.
Okay.
In the foundations, I have another program called Foundations of Vedic Astrology. That's the what I call as year 0, right? Where we do the modalities, dualities, all of that. We do 6 retreats, one on each element: earth, water, fire, air, and ether, and one end of year. That's in the first year. In this year, we are doing retreats connected to the planets. Smita?
So April and sometimes even July can be extremely hot in Kumbakonam. Have you
Correct.
considered that? I'm sure you
Yes.
would have, but have you planned accordingly? Is it?
Yes, good question, Smita. Last time I did this, these retreats, it was unbearably hot, right? Now, the thing is, the retreats are a little intense in terms of the activities we do because we're connecting with a certain energy a certain archetype, right? And then visiting the temple, all of it is quite intense. So we need to leave sufficient gap in between the retreats for you to integrate what comes up in each retreat before we do the exercise again. So I have to spread it out across the year. Yeah. Now, one thing that I'm doing this time is making sure there's air conditioning, right, in the places that we visit. But many of these towns are extremely small. They are almost like villages that we'll be visiting because these temples are situated in these places. Right? So, yeah, there's no escape.
I get it. I get it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I'm aware of this area, I've been there many times, so I just wanted to check.
No, you're absolutely right. These are extremely hot.
Thank you.
Anita?
Yeah. So I just recently did the Navgraha, and I've discovered I would love to volunteer and assist you for the retreats. I've discovered a very nice air-conditioned place for everyone. We can explore that. So
yeah, let's connect. Yeah.
yeah.
But over here, for when I say 9 people, I would like you to conduct the sessions with me.
Okay.
I would like you to take the activities on the grahas with me, right? So we will be co-creating what activity to do for each planet. Right? So ideally, everybody gets a chance. 2 people can volunteer for the same planet, no problem. Right? But this is a way for you to not only understand what the planet is about, but also see how you can lead groups. Right? Of course, I'll be hand-holding you, but this will be a very important learning of sorts, right, for you to conduct sessions. Srivatsan, your hand is up. From the last time? Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, now, there are many different pieces to this, right? There's math, there's intuition, there are retreats. So the general tendency is to approach this like it's a jigsaw puzzle, right? What is the next piece I need to, complete the picture? Many of my learners approach astrology in this way, right? What else do I need to learn so that I get a better overview of my birth chart so that I can form a full picture? This is not how you learn astrology. This is not how you approach this subject. You need to look at this as though you're watering a plant. Yeah? It needs to grow. It takes its own time to grow. Yeah? There is no missing piece, that you need to search and master. It's not that way, right? This is a different paradigm of growth. There's no picture that you're trying to complete. It's about self-discovery. It's about growth. It's about you becoming the highest form of yourself, which none of us know what that is, right? So you need to approach this as though it's a new step completely, right? There's no missing pieces. There's nothing like that. Right? And the best way to learn what I'll be sharing with you over the next year, the single best way to do this is to take a cup of tea and go sit under a tree. Yeah. You don't need to read anything else. You don't need to subscribe to anything. You don't need to, there is nothing like that. You need to integrate what we share in class. Yeah. So there'll be many themes that will be coming up. When I do the planets, when I do the houses, look at the themes, right? rather than trying to master each one and memorize each one. That is not the method. That was back in school. Now it's different, right? Look for themes that are coming up. And many of these themes, they will contradict each other. Such is life. It is full of contradictions. Jupiter will say one thing, Mercury will say another thing. What is going on in my chart? Welcome. This is life. You need to integrate the contradictions. All of them, there is both black and white in our lives, right? It won't be clear cut. Yeah. Take anything that is alive for you and go deep, right? If Jupiter is saying one thing and somehow you're not able to get over it, sit with it, right? Go deep with it. And sometimes you may also need to revisit a topic, yeah, in order for it to make sense to you. Immediately, it may not make sense. Right? It may seem all weird and not fitting in neatly into the puzzle, right? But yeah, that kind of a worldview, we have to see how we can gently let go of and be open to what needs to show its way. With some topics that I'll share with you, there will not be a neat closure of sorts, right? You will not know whether you know something or not know something. Right? So in case you don't understand something, great. It'll make sense in its own time. Right? Just like watering a plant, the plant will take as much water as it needs. You give extra water, it can't take it. Right? It'll just let it go. Right? It's like that. Let go of whatever is not sitting with you. It'll all make sense over time. Yeah. Now, as many of you know, this is a 4-year journey. Right? I have tried doing weekend workshops. I have tried doing month-long workshops. Can't do justice to the subject. Right? 4 years, in year 0, what I was sharing with you as the foundations, the focus was to use your birth chart as a mirror to know yourself. And the ask was, can you maintain a journal of insights? Right? When you read your birth chart, can you start noting down all your different insights about your own birth chart? This was foundations. The second year is Vedic Astrology for Beginners, which is this program. And here, the focus is to understand one other person, not the whole world, one other person. Meaning, I will give you the birth details of a mentor and ask you to give 3 sessions to that mentor. Yeah, you will receive feedback after each session. And this is how you start to learn another person's birth chart. This is where we are, the beginners program. The next year is the intermediate program, where you will learn to read birth charts of other people, say 7 to 10 charts is the focus. And after each reading, you'll get feedback on how that session went. That's the intermediate program. And then we have the advanced program, where you learn to read charts independently without much guidance. Now, I've made a YouTube video on this roadmap. So in case you're interested, here's the link. I will be uploading this deck. You can click on this link and it will take you to my YouTube channel where you can see this roadmap in more detail. I want to pause there. Any questions, Katyayani?
Because I missed foundations, do you think there'll be like a gap in how much I need to know before I start this program?
No, I'll be covering all the topics in this program, what we covered in foundations, but of course it will be much quicker, right? I spent a year on the foundations, right? But also I will share resources where you can brush up on your foundations, right? Short videos, so then you can go into the details of these topics. Right? But again, you don't need to do that. It's just for your understanding.
I think my question is more about the fact that I haven't like started with my own birth chart and maintained a journal of insights. I would assume that's where
Right.
the learning comes
Right.
from.
Right. Absolutely. So take your time in doing that as we start this year.
Yeah. Okay, got it.
Right?
Okay.
I'll show you how you can. I'll be giving you questions. I'll be giving you prompts that you can use to understand your birth chart. Right? But the first thing we were told when I started studying astrology is the birth chart, our own birth chart, is the biggest teacher for us. Right? And this is something that you will keep with you for the rest of your journey with astrology. Right? You'll keep going back to your birth chart and it will keep revealing something new to you about yourself and also about astrology. Okay, Smita.
So I am in the same boat as Katyayani, and if there is anyone else as well, maybe you can put us in touch to put us together in a group or something, and whatever prompts you have to share or extra hand holding that is to be done, it can be done in that form so we can work with each
Sure.
other. That
Sure.
way we work together towards covering what we have missed. It's just a suggestion.
Sure, sure. So I have an idea of doing mentor sessions for the group. I'm still processing how we can go about it. I'll share a few thoughts maybe in the next couple of weeks. But doing it in smaller groups is a great idea, right? Let's form groups, maybe by time zone, maybe by location, I don't know. And I will also give you some prompts and some case studies that you can work with together in the small group, just for you to settle in, right? And also, anytime you have any questions, feel free to send those questions to me and I'll take it as we go along. Okay, so what do we need for this program? First, you need Microsoft Teams on all your devices. Yeah, this is what we are conducting all the sessions in. So just make sure that you've downloaded and installed Microsoft Teams. Yeah? Neha, you have a question? Something is wrong with your mind. No, something is off. Yeah, you want to type your question maybe? Yes, Neha, that's a great question. So last time what we had done was we had maintained a document with all questions that were coming up from the group. So then I used to go through that document and take questions, depending on what's suitable to answer. So if anyone would like to volunteer to maintain this document of questions, that would be great. So if anyone has a questions, they will send it to you or they will post it in the group and this person can take all those questions and keep it in a Google spreadsheet or a Google document, for instance. Would anyone like to volunteer? Smita?
Yeah, I can do that.
Perfect, perfect. Okay, so Smita is going to volunteer. So anyone has any questions for me on any topics, you can just post it in the WhatsApp group and Smita will copy paste it into a Google document. And Smita, you can also share that link to the document with the whole group. So they can add their questions or they can see what other questions have come up, right? And I will also go through that document and see which questions we can cover when. Thank you for that. Okay, so Microsoft Teams on all your devices. You also need Drik Panchang on all your devices. Now you can, this is an app that you can download from Google Play Store, you can download from Apple Store. It is also web-based, browser-based, and we'll be using Drik Panchang. Parashara's Light is a great software. I would highly recommend it, but it's optional. Now, this is paid software. If you buy it in the market, I think it costs around 20,000 Indian rupees. But I have a student discount option with Parashara's Light. So if you all are interested in purchasing it at 50% discount, then you can just get in touch with me and I will coordinate this purchase directly with Parashara's Light. I don't get any commission. All the discount is transferred to you. So there is no agenda over here for me. I use Parashara's Light myself, and I would highly recommend this if you are serious about astrology. A large screen, webcam, and mic is extremely important. I know that sometimes we take calls on mobile, but the fonts are too small to read on a mobile device. So best if you can take the calls on a large screen. Any kind of note-taking material. Yeah. Now, for purposes of this particular year, you will also need a scientific calculator, right, with degrees, minutes, and seconds. Right? Now, this is what a scientific calculator looks like. Yeah, and that is the degrees, minutes, and seconds. It's not there in all scientific calculators. Right? Now, you can also find apps that you can download, right, which is a scientific calculator, right? You can download a scientific calculator app onto your phone. Even that works. Just make sure you have degrees, minutes, and seconds. Now, apart than this, we also need art material, magazines, candle lighter, right? Just keep this ready. We'll be doing a few activities in our classes that makes this material come alive. You can't travel around with this, but you know, when you're taking the calls from home, you can have some of this material available. Apart from this, a journal would be a great resource, right? For instance, to maintain a journal of insights or anything like that. Now, here are the optional resources in case you want to brush up on foundations. Now, all this is available at online.allthingsvedic.in. Now, I have an app myself, so you can download my app from Google Play Store or from Apple Store, and you'll get all these resources on the app. There are different programs there. One is called Snippets of Hindu Vedic Philosophy, Avatars of Vishnu, Navagrahas of Hindu Vedic Astrology. Now, these three programs are already available on the app, and this is what I covered in the foundations year, right? I'll be repeating some of this material in this year, but if you want to go deeper into any of these topics, it's available over here. What's coming up on the app is Stepping into Vedic Astrology. This is a work in progress. And all about the night sky. I think that second "the" has to be deleted. It's all about the night sky. These two programs are a work in progress. I think maybe in the next 2-3 months, even these two programs should be up online. Yeah. So Smita and Katyayani, this is what I was referring to if you want to brush up on your foundations. But not just those who are joining new, even those who have completed foundations, going over these videos once again will be great. Right? Now, in terms of classical works, right, we will be using Brihat Parashara Hora Shastra, BPHS for short, by Maharishi Parashara. Right? This is our Bible of Vedic astrology. We will also be using Phaladipika by Mantreshwara and Uttara Kalamrita by Kalidasa. These are the three texts that I'll be referring to. You don't need these texts, right? I'll be giving you the source, I'll be giving you the chapter and verse number anytime I quote these texts. But in case you wish to have a copy, you can download these. These are usually available free of charge, right? And if you purchase Parashara's Light, you have access to the classical works. It's built into the software. Now for Indian philosophy, I'll be using two Upanishads. One is Mandukya Upanishad and the other is the Kenopanishad. Right? Again, you don't need these. I'm just putting it out there in case you want to start listening to commentaries or get a copy. These are the two Upanishads that we'll use. Neha.
I hope you can hear me. Can you?
Yes, yes.
Okay,
Now we
thank
can.
God.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
So Vikram, about Parashara Light. See, last year also you had said this. I didn't get it then because we weren't really reading as such a lot.
Yeah.
But this year, would it be helpful to get it?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. All right. Then I'll ping you. But I
Yeah.
just wanted to ask you, is it possible for you to at some point, maybe if it's outside class, give us half an hour and just kind of take us through the software itself, because sometimes it can get a bit confusing. That's why I just wanted to
Yeah.
check with you if
Yeah.
that's possible.
Yeah. So let's see. Okay. Let me just ask, how many of y'all would consider purchasing Parashara's Light for half the price? You don't need to decide as of now. Tentatively, if I can get an approximate number. Yeah. So it costs 24,000, but after discount, you'll get it for 50%. So there are around 12 people who are interested. So let me check with Parashara's Light. And once all of you get the software and install it, then we can do a hand-holding session on how to optimize the software, how to customize the software. I think Siva has done a lot of work on that. So maybe Siva, you and me can coordinate on that session on how to help people install and customize Parashara's Light.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Vikram, is there any difference between the Parashara Light and other softwares or platforms?
Yeah. Yeah, there is. So let me just go back to this slide. There are many free software available, right? And there are many paid software. Now, the free software will not give some of these calculations like Shadbala, Bhavabala, or Graha Avastas, or different dashas. This is usually available only in the paid software, right? But having said that, I want to mention that there's a software called Jagannatha Hora, right? And that's available only for Windows. Let me put that in the chat window. It's in the chat window. It's called Jagannatha Hora software. It is free software and it gives you all of this and it is very good, right? I am using a Mac and I am on Parashara's Lite, right? And Parashara's Lite will cost you around 10,000 after discount. You can use either, right? If you are not, if you don't want to invest that amount, Jagannatha Hora is a great software. It will give you all of this. But you need one software, right? See, if you don't use a software, what will happen is you will have to manually calculate all of this each time. Shadbala, Bhavabala, Dasha dates. You'll have to calculate all of this. To give you an idea of the calculations involved, when I studied astrology, I came up with shortcuts, right, to do these calculations. All of these calculations, I had my own shortcuts. Using the shortcuts, I used to take 16 hours for each chart. There is that amount of mathematics involved, which the software does like that, right? So a software is essential if you don't want to manually calculate. So you can choose Parashara's Light or Jagannatha Hora. I have a few questions, so I'll go with Divya first.
No, Vikram, I had raised my hand to say that I would like to buy the software.
Okay, all right. Katyayani, Neha, and Pranav. Okay, Neha? Nothing? Okay. Pranav?
No, nothing.
Pranav, you have a question?
Vikram, like I have seen that software is essential developed now, but is it true that I've heard from seasoned astrologers, those who are really good at that, it at least takes like few weeks to completely study a chart. So are they right, first of all? And second thing, if not software, are manual calculations suggested? Can we do manual calculations, or are they quite extremely difficult?
No, manual calculations are not difficult. They are time consuming, right? You need basic mathematics. If you know times tables till 9, it is sufficient, right? You don't even need a calculator to do some of the calculations that I show you, but it is time consuming and it is mentally exhaustive, right? So when we sit in front of a chart, we want to have completed all the calculations so then we can tap into intuition. Rather than, we use different parts of the brain, right, to do a mathematical calculation or to use intuition. So when you're doing an interpretation, you want to be available to intuition first. That means you need to have completed all the calculations before. So if you have that time available, I would highly recommend that you do the calculations manually because you will develop that side of the mind. Right? If you don't have the time available, then rely on software. That's the answer to your second question. Answer to your first question, Pranav, it does not take weeks to understand a birth chart. It takes many years to understand a birth chart. Right? Because we are trying to understand another person. It's not something that you can complete in 1 or 2 sessions.
Vikram, and further, like while calculation, I've seen the traditional astrologers keeping certain books and writing like noting down certain numbers from it.
Right.
So what are that also? You can please just
right. So what they are referring to is what is known as ephemerides. Ephemerides are tables containing the positions of planets. Right? So there are equations which help us determine where a planet is placed at any given moment in time. But those equations are complex. So what the ephemeris does, it gives you the positions of planets every day, 6 a.m. every day. So then you refer to that table and then you interpolate. You say, this person was born at 10 o'clock. 6 o'clock, the planet was here. So at 10 o'clock, the planet would have moved that much. This is what the ephemerides do. We are not using the ephemerides over here because we're not determining the positions of planets. We take it from the software. Given the position of planets, we want to calculate the strength of planet, the strength of a house, or the start and end dates of dashas. So for this, we don't need ephemerides. You can look up the word ephemeris. That's the singular. Let me put it in the chat window. This is what astrologers refer to, the tables. Smita?
You have suggested two things here. One is Parashara and one is Jagannath Hora. Do you recommend both equally? I'm asking because I am a Windows user, so that's why I'm asking you. Do you recommend both equally, or do you suggest that first preference we should give to Parashara? That's the one.
No, either or.
Either.
Both are equally good.
Okay.
One is free, one is paid. One is only on Windows, the other is available on Windows and Mac. And both of these are not available on mobile. You don't have a mobile application.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
So that's the challenge with this.
Okay. But then your other point, you just spoke that you will recommend to certain extent learn how to calculate yourself as well because it develops that part of the brain. Yeah. So
Yes.
I have that extreme fear or phobia for maths, but would you still recommend that I try this?
Yes. Okay. Let's take a poll. How many in the group are afraid of mathematics?
I was afraid, Vikram, in my 11th and 12th, but completing BSc physics, so the fear nahi, so no fear.
No fear. Okay.
I can't call it a fear, but I used to hate that biroteness. So I used to prefer geometry and algebra. So because it's all trigonometry. So I don't have a fear, but so I have a bit of a difficult relationship because I used to get annoyed with all the
good
marking
point,
up
Neha.
of
Let me
tape.
rephrase my question then. Not fear. Say resistance. Is that a better word? Resistance to mathematics. Okay. Take this as an opportunity to confront that resistance. Yeah. I will try to simplify it to the extent possible. And I also tell you that you don't need it because the software is doing all the calculations. But if we know what the calculation involved is, if we get an intuitive understanding of the calculation, right, you have a better relation with that number that software is throwing out. Yeah. So see if this year you can somehow reduce that resistance, let that resistance dissolve. Yeah. Katyayani?
I just have a question whether we'll also learn birth time rectification. Is that part of the course or?
Good question. So,
yes, Vikram,
yeah.
Birth time rectification is important. Like I have seen that many people do not have their, they do not know exact time. And in the last year, when I asked you that the Shastamsa chart, which can see our past life. So you have said exact details of our birth should be known. So if exact details are not known, so how can birth time rectification help us? So will it really help us or not? That is the question again, adding to that same.
Right. So birth time rectification is a third year topic. We are in the second year, but You see this topic here where I say dasha techniques, understand and apply 4 major dasha systems. This will help you rectify the birth time by something that I call as reverse engineering. Right? So what we'll do is, if birth happened at this time, then such an event should have happened at such time. But the event happened at this time. So what should the birth time have been? Let me make that more clear. If I was born in April, I should have married in 2000. But I got married in 2001. What should my birth time have been? Right? So it's reverse engineering the problem, and we'll use dasha techniques for this birth time rectification. Right? We need to understand dashas first before we go to BTR, birth time rectification. Pranav, answer to your question, birth time rectification is very important for certain questions. Right? When a client asks, say for instance, compatibility, when we do matching of 2 horoscopes, we are first asked to check birth time before we match the charts. Right? So yeah, it is important that you know how to do this. The actual techniques for BTR we will do in the next year, but you'll get started in this year itself with dashas.
भाग मतलब पानी पी रहे हैं.
Okay. Any other questions? Okay. So yeah, Neha, you have a question?
Yeah, I do. So this is in regards to how I intend to use the astrology stuff that we're doing. So I can ask it separately also, Vikram, if we, or is it okay to?
No, ask and then we'll see if we go into it now.
Okay.
Or, yeah.
Okay, so you know that my interest has also been on integrating this into the archetypal work, that kind of work that I do. So it's heavily from the Jungian framework as well. In that I've of course studied stuff on astrology, and my idea of doing this was to Indianize it because all the other stuff is all Western. So I feel like decolonization is important. So I kind of got into this. So next year, I do intend to do a deep dive into how they have been using it. And then kind of see how to integrate it. But I just wanted to check with you. Do you feel like it will be too confusing to hold two different, because that'll be Western and then, so if you think that that's going to confuse me and you think I should hold off, then I would go with that based on what you think. So
yeah, so if I come back over here, now foundations and zodiac signs is going to be common to both the tropical astrology system and Vedic astrology system. But from there onwards, Shadbala, Bhavabala, Graha, Avastas, Dasha techniques, these are all very unique to Vedic astrology. So whether or not you will get confused depends on how you use these different, think of this as a tool. So say, for instance, I'm teaching you how to prepare South Indian food, and then you learn how to prepare a Western cuisine. Right? You can do a fusion, but you have to see how well the ingredients mix together. There are many astrologers today who are doing a fusion, right? Who use concepts from both.
yeah. Of course, I'm not ever going to do Western astrology because the idea is so like the thing that I wanted to start studying next year, which is self-study really, but it's around the inner planets. So how do the planets constellate internally as archetypes, and how do you work with that? So it's more like that.
Sounds fantastic.
So you don't feel like it will be too because I usually don't like to mix too many frameworks, at least until my feet are pretty grounded in the one that I'm doing. because otherwise, it gets very confusing. So, but if you think it's not too, then I
No,
would
I don't think
like
it's,
to.
if you're using the archetypes, I think it'll fit in very well.
Okay.
Okay. So a few agreements. Yeah. First, I would like us all to set a strong intention for learning this, right? Nothing can beat your intention. Yeah? And every now and then I ask you to reconnect with that intention and make sure that you are on track. Yeah. And if there's anything you need from my side to help you meet your intention, you need to let me know. Yeah. Come prepared. Yeah. Sometimes we miss classes. It is perfectly normal. It is okay if life comes in the way. See if you can complete watching the recording before you come to the next class. But in case you are not able to watch the previous recording, it's okay. Just attend. Because my classes, I make it as modular as possible. Even if you've not attended the previous session, you should be able to follow the current session. Yeah. And you can go back and watch the recordings whenever you find the time. Keeping webcam on is helpful for me because I'm able to connect with you, right? I end up teaching to those who I can see on the screen. Yeah. So this will be helpful. Come a few minutes early, right? Settle in. Make sure make sure technology is working. Make sure you have all the material you need. Yeah. Please don't share any of my recordings or decks with anybody outside this group. This is what I do for my living. This is my profession. And all the material that I share with you is what I have developed on my own. So I ask that you keep this for yourself. The other big ask is please don't read the birth charts of other people till we say you are ready. Right? It's a huge responsibility to take the birth chart of another person, right? It's like almost asking for their blood report, right? It's very personal, it's very sensitive. We are not there yet, but we will get you there, right? In fact, one of the intentions behind this year is that you start your own practice of reading birth charts, but we need to get there. Any questions? Katani?
This is maybe just like a fear that you can quickly address. I don't know. People will relate or not, but I've been curious about astrology, and you know that, but there's always been a fear around messing with the karmic loads of my own life. For example, I only read my own birth chart most of the time. Is there something like that to be worried about, or and do we learn ways to because I was watching like a reel on Instagram about tarot cards, and this guy goes on to, and it could be just sensationalism, and he goes on to say that if you read tarot cards and if you're not doing proper sadhana, sometimes it's like lower entities that you will channel and not like the higher deities. Is that concept true, and does it apply to astrology? Is that something to be afraid of? That's my fear.
Yeah. So there are many different layers to your question. First is, astrology for me is a tool to understand myself. Yeah, it is not a tool for predicting the future. That is not what I do astrology for. And there can be no greater tool than something that helps me know who I am. Yeah. So in that case, I don't feel there's any karmic issue other than me understanding myself better. The karmic implications apply when I start using the tool for purposes it's not meant to be used for. Right? So say, for instance, if I tell you, this is how you hold a knife. This is the sharp side of the knife. This is the blunt side. I'm teaching you how to cut with a knife. What you do with the knife can be very different from person to person. Right? You can use a knife to do a surgery, for instance, or you can use the same knife to hold someone at ransom. Right? That is where the karmic implications apply. Right? But learning how to use the knife, it's no problem. It's how you use it that's important. Right? Um, and your second point, Katyayani, what this person may be referring to is what you open yourself up for intuition, right? Tarot cards is purely intuitive, right? There is not as much math. There's no math involved in reading the tarot at all, right? Other than numerology a little bit. Intuition, the way it works, think of it as being a channel for something higher to speak through you. Yeah. Now, I can open myself up to whatever wants to speak through me. I need to kind of tune in to a higher frequency. You know, think of it like a radio channel, right? There are so many radio channels. I tune my radio to the frequency that I want to listen to. Right? I can listen to news or I can listen to Bollywood songs. Same way, you can tune your system, yourself, to receive guidance. If you don't take due precaution, then you are listening to something that is not the highest.
So are we going to learn how to?
But that applies in all fields, not in astrology only. In any field, say I'm walking on the road and I need to cross the road. What voice am I listening to that tells me this is the moment to cross the road? There is a voice. It can be the voice of reason. It can be the voice of intuition. It can be anything. I need to align myself constantly to a higher voice. And this I'll be addressing in more detail when we take up intuition, right? Different ways to align to a higher voice. I don't know if I've answered your question. Feel free to ask.
You have. I think there's just some fear, but my question is, will it be addressed? And the answer is yes, it will be addressed.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Any other questions? I see Neha.
Actually, just in context to what she's asked, it just sparked off something in my head. If you can talk a little bit around self-care once you start do the readings, that maybe, I don't know if it's this year, next year, but if that may be helpful.
True.
Because there will be energy exchange.
True. Yeah. Good point. I would like to invite some of the more quiet ones to share your thoughts before we take this forward. Anita?
Do we have some daily practices?
Good point. Yeah. Sure. Let me share a few thoughts in the next session. Yeah. And this also ties into what Neha and Katyayani are referring to as self-care. Okay. Any of the others who have been quiet? Dr. Sonal, Lani, Megha, anything you want to share? Shalu, Samya. Snehal, Spandana. Okay, we have half an hour. I have completed what I wanted to share today. We can start or we can close for today and we begin next week. What do you all prefer?
Start.
Start, yeah. I want to be
Start?
yeah.
Okay, fine. Let's start.
Quick break.
Let's do a quick break. So let's take 5 minutes.
Thank you.
Okay, welcome back, everyone. Let's turn on your video if you're back. Okay, let me share my screen. We're going to try to understand a concept called planet in sign. Right? Planet is one of the 9. Right? So we have Sun, Moon, Mars, Mercury, Jupiter, Venus, Saturn, and the nodes. By sign, what we mean are stars very far away. Right? So a collection of stars, a group of stars is called a sign. Just like you have a group of dogs, which is called a pack. You could say a pack of dogs, right? Or a flock of birds. It's a constellation of stars or a sign, right? When we say sign, we are referring to a collection of stars. But what does this mean? Planet in sign. So let's say we have the landscape. We're in rural Tamil Nadu, lots of coconut trees, and we have the sun that is moving across the sky. Right? At different times of the year, the sun is at different points in the sky. Yeah? The sun, even though it's a star, it is considered a graha in Vedic astrology. Right? It's a star. Scientifically speaking, it's a star. But we consider it to be one of the planets, one of the grahas of astrology. Right? The sun is very close to Earth. What is extremely far away are the stars. Now, at any time of the year, the sun will be somewhere, right? And at that time, if a baby is born, the stars that were behind the sun is what we are referring to. If we draw a straight line from that baby to the sun and then extend it out, it reaches some stars, right? What is marked as red over here. But if the sun was in a different part, then the stars behind the sun will be different, right? Those stars, the red stars, is what is known as the sun sign. The stars behind the sun when the person was born. What happens is, when we look into the sky, we don't see the difference in distance. It appears as though the sun and the stars are at the same distance. So we end up saying the sun is placed in that constellation, when actually the sun can never be in that constellation because the stars are so far away and the sun is so close by. Right? It appears as though the sun is placed in that zodiac sign. Right? There are 12 signs. How do we get these 12 signs? Let's say the sun is in the center and the earth is going around the sun. It takes 365 days for the earth to go around the sun. In the far distance are the stars. Now, at any point in time, there'll be some stars or the other behind the sun. So for instance, in this case, the red stars are directly behind the sun. When the Earth moves, the stars behind the sun changes. Right? The Earth moves again, and still it's the same stars. The Earth moves, and now there are different stars behind the sun. Keep in mind that this is in 2D, right? Some stars are above or below, right? In terms of this slide, they won't be in the same plane. We don't consider those stars. We consider only the stars that are in the same plane as the Earth and the sun. That is why not all the stars over here are colored in red. Yeah? So as the Earth makes its journey around the sun, different stars appear behind the sun. Is this concept clear that not all stars are considered because they are not in the same plane as the sun? We consider only the stars in red. Katyayani?
If it's 3D, then there will be, I don't know, maybe I'm visualizing this wrong, but there will be a plane that will have the stars that are above and below the Earth and the sun, right? If you
Correct.
imagine.
We don't consider those in astrology.
Okay. So which plane how do we decide which plane?
The plane of the Earth's orbit around the sun.
Okay, got it.
Right? So for instance, over here, only the stars in red are in the same plane as the Earth's orbit around the sun. The stars in black and gray are above or below, and we don't consider them in astrology. Yeah? These red stars is what is known as the ecliptic, the path of the sun in the sky. Yeah, Anita?
Three is just the random number? Three star?
Yeah. 3 is just a random number. It's a design. It's just that was the icon with three stars together. Yeah. Okay. Now, what we do is take these stars that appear behind the sun and divide it into 12 segments. And these 12 segments are the zodiacal signs. Each segment is a sign. Each segment will have millions of stars, right? And we combine all of them to say these stars have this signature, have this archetype, have this interpretation. We can't understand all the stars. To make it easier, we are making it into 12 segments. Now, those 12 segments, if you do it in this manner, this is the tropical zodiac. This is the tropical astrology birth chart. If you mark it in 12 segments like this. What we do in Vedic astrology, the same stars, we draw squares. We draw a large square, and then we draw two large vertical lines, two large horizontal lines, and then in between, right? And this, we are considering only the stars in red, remember? This is the South Indian birth chart. Now, these 12 segments, they have names. The first one is Aries, Taurus, Gemini, Cancer, Leo, Virgo, Libra, Scorpio, Sagittarius, Capricorn, Aquarius, and Pisces. What's in middle are the Sanskrit names: Mesha, Vrishabha, Mithuna, Karkataka, Simha, Kanya, Tula, Vrishchik, Dhanus, Makara, Kumbha, and Meena. Yeah. Now, if we go back to our baby that was born, there are different planets in the sky moving at different speeds. Right? It's not just the sun, we have many other planets as well. And at any point in time, those planets will be placed at different points in the sky. Yeah? Now, if you draw a line from the baby to each planet and extend it out, it will reach a different section of stars in the sky. So, for instance, with Mars, the planet in red, these are the stars behind Mars. And the stars behind the moon may be very different. So each planet is going to have some stars or the other behind it. That means each planet will have its own sign, will be in a different sign. Now, again, we can't see the difference in distance between the planet and the stars. It appears as though the planet is placed in the stars, right? When we look into the sky. Yeah? So this is what I mean by planet in sign. So if these red stars are the stars of, say, Sagittarius, then we would say Mars is in Sagittarius. But it's not accurate because Mars can never be placed in Sagittarius. Sagittarius are stars very far away. Mars is very close to Earth, but it appears as though Mars is in Sagittarius. Yeah. Katyayani and then Pranav.
No, my hand is raised from before, sorry.
Okay, Pranav.
Vikram, so we take the birth time, like of a child who is born, when we cut the umbilical cord from his mother. So this is one thing. But in Chinese astrology or different astrology or whatever I've studied, the soul comes, like soul enters the womb in the 3rd month. So why do is that we consider the time when the baby is taken out? That is my first question. And can we consider it beforehand? So, or what difference will it make?
Yeah. So, good question. So you can make the birth chart for any event in life. You can make it for when the umbilical cord is cut, or when the baby was given a name, Namkarnam, or you can make it for when the person got married, or when the soul entered the body. It's up to you. But your interpretation will change based on what you have made the birth chart for. If you make the birth chart for the time of marriage, you need to read the chart for marriage. How will the marital life be for this person? If you make it for the time of birth, how will the physical life be for this person? If you have an accurate date and time for when, say, the soul entered, by all means, you can make the chart for that time. It may be difficult to find the time, maybe the day you can pinpoint, right? But you need to read the birth chart in keeping that in mind. So yeah, that's possible. I've not come across anyone who does it for when the soul enters the body, but I have come across many people doing it for marriage, the date when you got your first job, when you started going to school. Yeah, it's possible. Smita?
Before this, when you shared how the stars, when you were just saying that, starting from Aries, you said this is how the South Indian birth chart looks, right?
Right.
So how is a South Indian chart different from North Indian? And are we only focusing on the South Indian chart is my question.
Yeah. So think of it as a different font. Right? Knowing astrology, you'll be able to toggle back and forth, whether it's the tropical birth chart or North Indian birth chart or South Indian birth chart, you'll be able to use all of them. Yeah? As we start our journey, I find it easier to explain concepts using the South Indian birth chart. Once we cover the houses, then the North Indian birth chart will be helpful. We will toggle back and forth. You'll be able to use all of them, no problem. Right? The format is different. So if I go back, the tropical birth chart will be circular in illustration. It will be circular like this with segments exactly how I've marked it over here. And this is how the South Indian birth chart looks like. So for now, I would ask you all to learn which sign appears where in the South Indian birth chart. Right? So when I say Leo, you should know where Leo is. Right? When I say Libra, you should know which box is Libra. That will be helpful as we go along. Come again, Anita?
How do we read the boxes? Like you started with Aries, like the first sun sign, and then we went around. Now, for example, Gemini, this is which house? Like which box? Like how do we number it?
No. So you're bringing in houses. Don't bring in houses. So you see the box called Aries over here?
Yes.
That is Aries all the time. It has no number. We can give it any number we want depending on how we interpret it. We'll come to that.
Okay.
Right? Taurus over here, that will always be Taurus. In any South Indian birth chart, that box will be Taurus. Right?
Okay.
Now, the other thing that I would say is, when you use the term sun sign, you're basically saying where the sun was placed. But here we are considering all the planets. So let's just call these as signs, not as sun signs, because maybe Mars is placed in Taurus, in which case it becomes Mars sign. Maybe Moon is placed in Gemini, in which case it becomes the Moon sign. Right? So if we come back to this one here, you see the planets are placed in different parts of the sky, and each planet will have different stars behind it. So the 12 signs of the zodiac, let's call it signs of the zodiac, not as sun signs. Sun signs is mostly, Sunday horoscopes, that's what has brought about this term of sun sign. We'll be considering all the 9 planets. Now, let's look at this to give you in perspective in the night sky today, what it will look like. Right? So this is in Tiruvannamalai. If I'm looking at the west, you see there are different points in the sky. And this is Saturn over here. This is Jupiter over here. And this is the moon over here. Now, these are placed in certain constellations. Which are those? Right? So these are the different constellations.
Right.
So over here, this is Capricorn. So it appeared that Saturn was placed in Capricorn. Jupiter was placed in Aquarius. Jupiter can never be in Aquarius. The stars behind Jupiter were the stars of Aquarius on that date and time. Right? So we say Jupiter's sign is Aquarius over here. Saturn's sign is Capricorn. Right? Moon's sign becomes Pisces. Now, this is done using a software called Stellarium. So if you're interested in this software, it's a free software. You can download this. I want to stop at that. I want to take up Neha's question before we wrap up for today. Any questions on this before I answer Neha? Okay, so Neha, the question was, why are we making the birth chart for when the person was born? Why not when the soul entered the body? Right? There are different theories about when the soul entered the body. And one of the prevailing theories is that it happens in the 3rd month. Right? I actually spoke to a doctor about this, and she mentioned that the brain is formed in the 3rd month as well. So it's interesting that we are saying the soul enters the body in the 3rd month. Right? Now, you're free to make the birth chart for any time. Right? You can also make the birth chart for the time of conception, if that date is available. In which case, the birth chart will tell you how the pregnancy will go. Right?
So
Because
Vikram, just sorry, to interrupt, but you won't really know the time. It's
exactly
like that.
That's the problem.
So that's why I'm like, how do you do it? That was my question.
Exactly.
If you don't know the date and the time.
Exactly. It's difficult. You don't know the time. The date maybe you can approximate, but the time it's difficult, right? But say, for instance, you know the time, right? Then do the chart. Do the chart for that time. But let's take a more practical example, right? Say the time when the child first goes to school, right? You can make the chart for that date and time, and reading that birth chart will tell you how the education will be for this child, right? You can make the birth chart for any date and time, basically. Your interpretation must adapt accordingly. Okay. So what we have done today is I've given you a plan for the year. I'll be uploading this deck onto Teams. You can go over it, see how you can prepare yourself for these classes. I have also added you to the Google Calendar invite. So your calendar must already be blocked, so you don't take other appointments at this time slot. In case you don't have it in your calendars, just ping me. Maybe I added you later in the group. I will also share the Google Calendar invite, right? And I'll also upload this deck that we just started with. So you have all of this for self-study. Yeah. Apart than the plan for the year, I started with planet and sign, right? This is fundamental concept for understanding the zodiac. Any thoughts, any questions before we close for today?
Thank you,
Would you
Vikram.
recommend reading something? There are certain books that you suggest that will help us understanding things more.
Yeah. Yes, Smita, I would highly recommend the programs on online.allthingsvedic.in on my app, right? The foundations. One is Snippets of Hindu Vedic philosophy. The other is Avatars of Vishnu. I've covered all the 9 avatars. I've not covered the 10th avatar because it has not yet happened. And the Navagrahas of Vedic Astrology, right? Each of these programs is like 6 hours, 5 hours, 7 hours of videos. So if you have the time, I would recommend that you do those programs. It's actually put together by 2 of us in the group, 3 of us in the group. There is Anmol, who has taken hold of everything technical, and all the app is Anmol's work. And there is Megha, who's also part of this group, who has edited all the videos and made them suitable for online learning.
Yeah, sure.
And I would recommend that at this time, you don't read anything else on YouTube or Instagram, not even my own blogs or my own Instagram channel. We are a little far away from that. I will tell you when you are ready. Just sit with your birth chart and the programs that I have online. Okay, let's just breathe a few moments before we close. Yeah? We can find our feet on the floor. Let's just connect with our breath. The breath integrate everything we've heard and take it to the deepest parts of us. Whenever you're ready, slowly open your eyes. Thank you, everyone. Wish you a good week and see you next week.
Thank you, Vikram.
Thank you,
Bye for now.
Vikram. Thank you,
Yes,
everyone.
sir.
Bye.
Divya, Divya is there? No, Divya is left. Okay, fine. I'll reach out to her.